sponsored by Brilliant. Hey guys, how you all doing? If you're new here, welcome. My name is Krazy Ken, and today is a big day because after years of macOS version 10, we're now on a new number, macOS 11 Big Sur. This release has an all-new design and tons of cool new features, but before we dive into all that stuff, plus some extra tips and tricks, I want to talk about compatibility for a second. If you have any Mac model listed here, or something newer than anything listed here, then you're good to go. macOS Big Sur will work right out of the gate and be compatible with your computer, so you can go ahead and grab that from the Mac App Store. But, as I always recommend, have a backup of your system before you install a major operating system upgrade. You can use the Time Machine feature, it's built into macOS. Plug in an external hard drive and it will back up your entire computer, or at least put your main files on iCloud or Dropbox or Google Drive, because you never know, something could go wrong, so always back up your data before you upgrade. Alright, let's jump in and see what's new. So the user interface has a fresh coat of paint, it's been completely redesigned. The new menu bar blends in with your desktop picture, the dock has rounded corners and it floats above the edge of your desktop. App icons have a uniformed rounded look, kind of like what you have on iOS, but some icons artistically break out of the rounded rectangle, which I think is pretty cool. Sidebars expand to the full height of the window, the sheets no longer attach to the top of the window, instead they float in the middle. There's new glyphs, accent colors and apps, new progress bars, and even new sound effects. Overall, the design looks much more similar to iOS, bridging that consistency. And I won't be surprised if iOS 15 takes some design cues from Big Sur in the future. Alright, so now let's move on to new features, starting with Notification Center. Notifications and widgets are now combined into a single view, so you don't need to click back and forth between two tabs anymore. You can rearrange the widgets, add new ones, and even resize them. Kind of reminds me of those old Windows Live tiles. Moving on, Control Center is now on the Mac, just like what you're used to on your iPhone. Common system settings like brightness, volume, and AirPlay are combined into a unified menu. You can easily click and toggle settings on and off, or you can drill in for more control. And you can even drag out certain items and place them right in your menu bar. And up next is Safari. Now, this is more of a catch-up update, I'm gonna be honest. If you're a Google Chrome user, for example, you're probably not gonna see much of anything new, but it's still important to have these upgrades, so let's take a look. Similar to Google Chrome, you can now customize your start page with this button. You can turn on favorites, iCloud tabs, and even a background image if you'd like. And Privacy Report, that's a new thing, but we'll cover that in a sec. You can also hover your cursor over tabs for page previews, and you can toggle favicons in your tabs. And now finally, Safari supports VP9 video playback with Big Sur, which means you can watch 4K YouTube videos. Okay, so back to the Privacy Report thing. So Safari has had built-in intelligent tracking prevention for a little bit now, and what that does is it stops trackers from following you around the web, so your data can be taken from one site and maybe sold or abused. You know, there's a whole lot of weird things people can do with your data, but a lot of times it's used for tailored advertising. So if you're on one website looking at a product, then you go to another website, well, now you see an ad for that product on that other website, well, a tracker was following you. That's how it knows what you've been looking at. So Safari does all it can to try to block this stuff. But the new feature here is the Privacy Report will tell you what's being blocked. And you can view that stuff right in the toolbar, or you can look at a summary on your start page. So another long overdue app update is Messages. For years, millions of people have enjoyed the fun and useful features of Messages on their iPhone. But on the Mac, not so much. So now, all that has been fixed, and there's even some new features that were introduced with iOS 14 that are going to be on the Mac as well. Big Sur's Messages app now lets you pin conversations, and the message effects actually show up this time instead of just a piece of text that just tells you that someone sent an effect. You also have a handy photo picker right in the corner, a hashtag images browser, and new from iOS 14, you can now mention a person in a chat, and you can send inline replies, which is super handy for big group chats. Next up is Maps. You can now see bike routes for your destinations. It'll even tell you about the elevation. Neato. Similar to Google Street View, you can use Look Around to, well, look around certain areas. This feature isn't available in a ton of places yet, but at least it's growing. And if you look closely, you'll see a blue hedgehog falling from this building here. And there's new indoor maps too. Again, not available in a ton of places yet, but Apple will add more with time. I see this being pretty useful for airports. Okay, so those were the big changes in macOS Big Sur, but now I want to show you some of the smaller things and some other tips and tricks along the way. First up, Apple Music replaced the default For You page with a new Listen Now start screen, which includes features like auto-generated personalized playlists. There's also a new Now Playing menu in the menu bar, and it works with Apple Music, but it also works with other things like YouTube videos. And next, just like with any new macOS, there's a bunch of new wallpapers as well that you can take a look at. And from the Computer Clan, we also have our new wallpaper pack. If you want to check out all of our gallery, feel free to click the link in the description and get yourself a new wallpaper. Up next, password warnings in Safari got a little bit of an update. In addition to warning you about reused passwords, Safari will now do its best to warn you about suspected security breaches. And as a video guy, I like this updated version of QuickTime. You can now choose different time displays, plus you can type in a frame number to jump the playhead to a particular frame in the video. And there's new playback speed controls as well. And a quick tip, which isn't new in Big Sur but still handy, if you hold down the Option key and press the fast forward button, you can increase the playback speed in 0.1 increments. Switching to system preferences, there's a new battery usage history panel, kind of like what you have on your iPhone, which shows you the charge of your battery throughout the day. And in FaceTime group calls, you know when you're in those little squares and you start talking, your square gets bigger and you're more in the front. Well, now that works with sign language. So if you sign, the camera will recognize you're using sign language. Instead of the microphone picking up on your talking, it'll look at your hands and make your picture bigger, so that's really good too. Up next, the Photos app now has editing capabilities for videos, which includes certain things like color control. And in Messages, if you swipe on your trackpad or Magic Mouse, you can show the timestamps, or you can right-click and toggle them. Now, this is a bit of a power user thing, but I've always been a huge fan of the proxies in Windows, so they're a little bit hidden now, but don't worry, they're still there. If you hover your mouse cursor over the title bar, you can see the proxy show up, and then it functions just like normal. You can right-click on it to show where that file is in the file system, or you can drag it out and use it in other applications. And yes, the Declaration of Independence is actually kind of hidden in macOS. Open the dictionary, click the Go menu, and open up Front Back Matter, and boom, tons of resources. So feel free to have some fun with that. Another small thing, there's now a dedicated checkbox to turn off the window tinting. So by default, the windows will soak up a little bit of color from your desktop picture, which I personally like. But if you want to turn that off and just get the neutral colors, you can do that with this checkbox in the General pane. And my personal favorite small feature, I'm so excited that they brought this back. In the sound preferences, you can now turn on the iconic startup sound. For most, if not all of Apple's new products from late 2016 on, the startup sound was disabled. And there were some tricks that you can use to kind of get it turned back on, but now there's a dedicated checkbox for it. I even did a video about this years ago, so maybe Apple somehow listened to me or somebody. I don't know, I'm just glad it's back. You can turn that sound on and enjoy. So go ahead and grab a copy of macOS Big Sur. If you haven't already, you can download it from the App Store. And again, make sure you have a backup of your data. I always recommend that. And I know I didn't cover every single feature, so feel free to leave a comment about any other cool features that I didn't mention, and maybe any other little features or Easter eggs that you found. And feel free to let me know what you think about Big Sur in general. And hey, if you like this episode, you know what to do. And feel free to subscribe and stick around, because there's going to be a lot more cool stuff coming from the Computer Clan. We're talking about some cool rare tech stuff and even knockoff tech. We love doing that here, so it's going to be a fun time. And speaking of cool tech stuff, if you want to learn more about how all that stuff works, Brilliant.org is the perfect place to go. They sponsored today's episode, so thank you very much for the support. And here's a couple of computer science related courses you can learn from on Brilliant. Think about artificial intelligence. How does that work? How does the iPad's neural engine work? How can it use machine learning to teach itself things and recognize handwriting? Brilliant has interactive courses which help you understand how artificial neural networks work. And it's interactive. It's not just some sit and get lecture. Brilliant can also help you learn about search engines, quantum computing, computer memory, and even cryptocurrency, so you can master that Bitcoin craze. And then once you master that and make some moolah, you can learn about casino algorithms and take that moolah to the casino and make even more money. Okay, I'm mostly joking now, but you get the idea. So here's the deal. Click the link in the description. You can sign up completely for free. And when you do click it, if you're one of the first 200 to click it, you can get 20% off of a Brilliant Premium subscription, which offers a lot more features than the regular free version. So go ahead and check out that link and enjoy. Start learning some cool stuff. And thank you very much, Brilliant, for sponsoring today's episode. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me. Catch the crazy and pass it on.